Happy Thursday evening, everybody. My name's Dave Carroll. Good to have you here on Transformation TV, chatting about all things transformation and transformation-related stuff. We want to bring in Brian Beatty, who is the head, the president, the big poobah, the big cheese, the big guy in Transformation Canada. Brian, hello. You are muted, Brian. You're muted. You are muted. There you go.
Yeah, that's all true. It's hard to get all those things on a business card, but yeah, that's
yeah. And you don't often have the word cheese in it either. Like you don't whether it's big or small cheese, it's not always there.
But when you get a chance, you have to, right?
When you get a chance, you have to. So, Brian, we did this Transformation TV throughout the summer and took a few weeks off just there at the end of the fall. And but you guys were on, Brian. You're a part of the Global Prayer Presbytery for Transform Our World, and get to connect weekly with some pretty incredible people doing some neat stuff. And you were saying that you guys had a call today and very cool stuff happening from around the world. Fill us in, Brian. What's happening about the world? Fill us in.
The whole world. Yeah. So as Dave said, so Transformation Canada is part of the Canadian arm of Transform Our World, which really is a global network of people that believe that God's kingdom is to come on earth as it is in heaven. So monthly, I mean, stuff happens all the time, but monthly at least, we have a global call, just kind of updating things, but also a time of prayer together. It's usually about an hour. And so we get to hear some of the things that some of the people in the network are doing. And it just turns out to be just amazing. You find yourself shaking your head going, yeah, this is quite remarkable what's happening around the world. So we heard stuff about how people in the network in Uganda are running for government and looks like they're getting in. Dave, you'll remember Joseph Okia because he came often from Uganda, and he was actually talking about the fact that they're shut down in Uganda. They've had very few sickness, and I think he said only 15 people had died, but their shutdown, their lockdown was significant. Like, so he's a doctor, like medical doctor, and he hasn't been able to go home for 6 months. So their lockdown was, if you're part of the medical profession, you're on lockdown and you don't see your family.
Wow.
But the lockdowns seem to work. They've had 15 deaths in their entire nation, but it seems like while he was doing that, his wife couldn't do anything else. She ran for government and got voted in. So she's
no distractions at home. He's
yeah. So that we looked at that. We have friends of ours in Thailand, actually. So Dirk Matt, who's he's actually the chair of the board for Transformation Canada. He's got 2 or 3 international environmental businesses. Well, he's been working all over the world with this, and he connected with a couple that we know from Thailand, Brian and Margaret Burton. And for 7 years, they've been working on getting some of Dirk's product into Thailand, because what it does, it treats water and makes it better for use in cities and nations. And so after 7 years of working through this, the Canadian Embassy got involved and met with the Thai government, and looks like they're going to discuss this project more clearly, and looks like something great's going to happen with the environment there. We met a guy for the first time, really introduced to us through Steve Chua and Ed Silvoso, and he's a guy originally from here, or from the USA, I should say, but working in Egypt. And one of the big issues in Egypt, and his father, so Gavin Walters, his name, his father is had been praying for Egypt and felt like he had seen these pictures of water and the desert blooming in Egypt. And they knew nothing, that could never happen, blah, blah, blah. And in fact, a huge thing that's been going on in Egypt lately in many places is, well, he had all these dreams and visions. And so he starts working with people in Egypt, and they find this this aquifer under the sand, under the desert in Egypt, and apparently there's enough water there to last 100 years. This whole aquifer, and they're already working to make this guy's vision come to pass, where they would start working in Egypt and moving forward with bringing the dead alive there. And then a lady from Egypt comes on, and she'd been saying, we've been praying for the same thing. Her name's Yvette Isaacs. She's been praying for the same thing. People in Egypt have been praying for the same thing. And she starts talking about a prophecy out of Isaiah 19 that talks about how this is going to happen, and how Egypt's going to partner with Syria, who's going to partner with Israel to bless these three nations. And as she's talking, I'm thinking about, what's happening in the Middle East right now with this peace treaties. And if they brought Syria and Egypt in and Israel, I mean, it would be a direct fulfillment of this Isaiah 19 prophecy. And it was just like story. There's probably 10 or 12 of these kind of stories today of what God's doing around the globe. Pretty amazing.
We're seeing an unprecedented time of people coming together from different ministries and spheres of influence, sectors, that type of thing, and going, we need to be able to bind together to be able to truly make an impact in this world. Why do you think that is? Why do you think now, out of all the times, we're genuinely starting to see people go, I actually need you?
Yeah, I think so. I would speak of the last 6 months. I think the last 6 months said to us that the way we've done church and or reached out with tangible transformation to our cities hasn't really worked in the big picture. I would say, so people have been re-looking at, what does it mean to be the church, to bring the kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, and people going, well, it doesn't work this way. And so there's been great discussion happening about how to make this really work in real time. And so a lot of that discussion, but a lot of the stuff that we're involved in, so some of the stories I shared with you, this is years of planting and sowing that I would say Ed has done the last 40, 50 years, where we've walked not just into revival. So let's get revived and have some good meetings but what does it mean to go from revival to reformation or transformation? And so there's years of real stories that have happened, and I think more and more people are going, this is the real thing. We need Holy Spirit to come to show us how to do what he wanted us to do from the beginning. And I think people are going, yep, these are real stories. This is real. We can't deny it. It's not just big talk anymore. These are real things that are happening all over the globe. So you have to either have to say it's not happening and that's not real, or you go, I guess I better find how to do it from myself.
If you're watching live, we're going to be on here for another couple minutes. Love for you to make a comment. You make comments on the live stream here. We can bring up some of the different comments, and if you want to jump in on the conversation, Brian, I was chatting with a guy who was one of the godfathers of the kindness evangelism movement back in the 90s. Wrote a book called Conspiracy of Kindness, and he sent me a message saying, hey, I'd love to be able to find a way to connect with Ed Silvoso, because he got a hold of the Ecclesia Everywhere idea and the vision of 1 million ecclesias of everyday people going, oh my goodness, I can go and change the atmosphere of my neighborhood. I can go and do this, and for whatever reason, he's like, oh my, this really is the stuff that I've been talking about for years. And it was such an encouragement for him to be able to go, hey, people are starting to have this it's never been untrue, but there's a funny thing about Revelation, and when stuff sort of starts bubbling up in your heart, where all of a sudden it's like, you read the Bible. This is I got my childhood Bible sitting right here, and I've read it in different eras of my life, and you can read the thing 100 times and 100 times see something different, and it just pops out. And I think to an extent, that's what is interesting about this time, is the idea of we can and are called to be able to go and practically change the world, and we are all called and anointed to be able to do it. And if we do it together, if we do our own parts, our own small, simple parts, and genuinely do it together, like I remember listening for years, people would talk about, I believe I'm called to a big thing. God wants to do big things through my life. And all of that is probably true. But sometimes I wondered if the big things that people felt that they were called to, and sometimes felt disappointed because they felt like they weren't seeing the big things. I often wondered if the big thing that people felt was just the big calling of God's kingdom coming on earth as it is in heaven, and that pressing of we have to be able to act and to be able to do stuff together. And if the big thing actually was us all doing it, that was the big thing. Interesting.
Yeah. I think that's it for sure. I think there has been a birthing or whatever, a renaissance of people getting a hold of the big picture, but being okay with their smaller part in the bigger thing. So I was sharing, I shared on Sunday at our church about when God was speaking to me this summer, and some of the time he talked about our heart fire, that you can kind of know destiny by there's a feeling inside your heart. Jeremiah the prophet talks about it was like a fire shut up in his bones. If he didn't reach people with good news, it was like a fire. And there's a secret. I felt like the Lord was sharing with me that there's a secret to understanding our destiny or our part of the big picture because of heart fire. What sets our heart on fire? And God was saying, as long as you submit that to me and through my heart, I've given you that feeling and that desire on purpose, so you know what to follow. And I found that very helpful, and a few people on Sunday did as well. So I think is exactly what you're saying, that the big thing is God's got a plan for everything, and then we get a piece of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, here. I agree. Cheers to that, Brian. That's good. Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us for a little while tonight here on Transformation TV. We're going to pop on every Thursday and just for a little chat and encouragement. And if there's stuff when you either you're watching this live or you watch it in coming days, the replay of it on our Facebook or YouTube page, drop us a line, make a comment, and even if you've got questions that pop out of the things that we're chatting about, we'd be happy to talk through some of the things that are going on inside your heart and mind during this time about transformation and the call of the ecclesia to be able to go and be a part of God's kingdom coming. So it's exciting days.
Indeed.